NALM plays an important role in the promotion of lay ministry in the United States and, with its sister organizations, works hard to strengthen lay ministry through formation of lay ministers and lay ecclesial ministers. The current structure of NALM relies on a strong board of directors because the organization has been without an executive director for over 7 years. The current bylaws were written with the assumption that the organization would have an executive director, even though they were revised in 2017 to better assist in the organization of its work. While these changes in 2017 were helpful, the current board of directors does not feel they went far enough. For example, under the current bylaws, the role and duties of the executive director fall onto the board chair, with no clarification as to how a volunteer can fulfill the important work of managing a national organization. The board proposes 4 main changes. First, changes in the language so that the entire board of directors is given the responsibilities of managing the organization under the leadership of the chair. This will facilitate more easily delegation of the duties in a reasonable fashion. It also corrects an oversight from the 2017 revision that restricted election of officers to the March meeting. This allows for a cleaner transition at the membership meeting in June. The revisions also changed the terms of office to allow for board members to serve longer. In the absence of an executive director, the board chair may serve for up to 2 consecutive 2-year terms, and the other officers can be re-elected to indefinite 1-year terms. Because the brunt of the work of the board is accomplished by the officers, and because the chair serves as the face of the organization, the current board feels that this consistency is vital to the success of NALM. Finally, the revisions clearly state in the bylaws that the functions of the executive director that are assumed by the board chair may be delegated to other board members. Here are the actual changes. Article 5, Section 2 deals with the responsibilities of the board of directors. Currently, it says in 7 that the board of directors will employ, supervise, and evaluate the executive director. Again, this is presuming that we have an executive director. The proposed changes clearly spell out the 2 options. 7A, if the association employs an executive director, hires, supervises, and evaluates the executive director. B, if the association does not employ an executive director, manages all aspects of the association, including finances, human resources, and any other duties as outlined in Article 7. Article 6, Officers, Section 1, Composition. Officers of the association shall be the chairperson, vice chairperson, secretary, and treasurer. The chair-elect and immediate past chair shall both serve as officers during a 3-month transition period following the election of officers. This change is intended to give a little leeway as far as when the actual election of officers happens. Article 6, Section 10, Terms. The chairperson shall serve a 2-year term. Should the chairperson be selected in the 2nd or 3rd year of a board term, his or her service as a director and the size of the board shall be adjusted accordingly. If the association does not employ an executive director, the chairperson is eligible for 1 additional consecutive term in office. Otherwise, they are only eligible for a single term. The purpose of this change is so that the chairperson, in the absence of an executive director who is serving as the face of the organization, can be eligible for a second term. Section B would go on to say, other officers shall serve a 1-year renewable term. There would not be term limits on these additional officers. Finally, Article 7, Executive Director, Section 1, Employment. A. An executive director may be hired and be responsible to the board of directors. An executive director shall serve at the pleasure of the board. 1. In the absence of an executive director, the chair of the board assumes the responsibilities of the executive director and directs the affairs of the association in collaboration with and the consensus of the board of directors. Added is, these duties may be delegated to the other members of the board. This addition simply clarifies something which should be evident. In the absence of an executive director, the board chair, serving as a volunteer executive director as it were, should feel free to delegate responsibilities to other members of the board. Any changes to the NALM bylaws require a vote by membership. Prior to that, there needs to be a 30-day comment period where you can ask questions and clarifications. If you go to the NALM website, you will find a link where you can do so. Please make sure that your comments are submitted before July 6th. After that, we will put these changes up for a vote.